Winch Maintenance 101. Oops, got my shirt inside out. I can wear it twice now. We got these Barbarossa, they're Italian winches. I think they're really, really poor design because you literally have to take the whole winch off the deck. So the ground plate or the base plate has to be removed, so you have to then rebed it after each time, because I've got to be able to get to the pawls inside. The pawls are those little clicky things, and there's 3 holding studs here that I can only get to if I rip the whole thing up. What a stupid design. I got barlows on board I had a look at, and that's different. You can leave the base plate on and just take off the top. I mean, that's sensible. And the other ones, which are another British brand, is fine. So I'm going to try and get these off with an impact driver, because I don't think these have been touched in, I don't know, 10 years or something. If you look at the grease is like, it's solid. Woohoo! Got a winner. Now let me tell you how this plays out. There's 3 to get out. I'll get 2 out, but the last one I won't get out. I've done this before, people. It's the usual. So now we're trying to get rid of this base. I'm supposed to be able to do this at Z, by the way, to repair this winch. I think we've got plenty of grease in there. I don't know if you can see that. That is a stack of grease. Now, I normally put too much grease myself. Well, I used to. Now I put less because it's cheaper. So we're going to clean up all this, get out all the crud, and then lightly grease it and lightly oil the pawls and the pawl springs, because you don't want to have grease there. You don't want to hold them up. So Singer oil or just some light oil. Now I've got some French industrial grease here. This is probably about 30 years old. I'm going to use it because of, well, we don't have a lot of money at the moment. I'm just going to use some Singer oil, which I borrowed from someone. And look, what I was going to say is you could buy their oil for the pawls and their grease for the ratchet gears and the gears and the bearings. But I've heard it's made out of caviar, diamonds and gold dust, because it's very expensive, and they think that you're going to buy it, and most people do buy it. But so I'm just going to take a quick picture of that, try and remember what it looks like, take it all apart and get rid of all the grease and all the crud in there. This is another thing I'm supposed to be able to do at sea. This requires some kind of gear puller or a press to press this gear away from this ratchet gear. Yeah, this Barbarossa winch, this is a real pain in the ass. I didn't have a vise or a gear puller, so I just tapped it out with a small socket and a block of wood. I'm cleaning it with diesel oil. It's the only thing I got. Good enough. They recommend you don't use petrol or gasoline, whatever you call it, because if there's any plastic washes or anything, it degrades them. There's a fair bit of gunk in here, and it's not light oil. It looks like that the well, he's over greased this, whoever did it last, and there's a lot of grease in here, but still it was functioning, so can't be all bad. I'm also looking for any corrosion and wear. No corrosion. It's looking pretty good. So you just simply put your spring in like so. There's really only one way to go for it to meet the contours, and grab the other side of the spring and simply slide it in. And there we go. Now, I reckon there's too much free play in this. This is probably a 35-year-old winch. My Harkin didn't have so much free play. Look at this. So I reckon I'm going to be in for some grief one of these days. So I might actually start looking out for a good second-hand pair of winches. Then we simply spin this ratchet gear around and then gradually slide it on, and now we're done. And that's basically how it works. I'm going to use some light oil on these, put this cover plate back on, and then we're ready to go. This is what happens when you start getting grease near the pawls. They start to stick and they don't function properly. They should be instantly going back. So it's a good thing I'm doing a clean now. Well, there's a whole heap of old grease and muck in this. I mean, it's thick. It's thick stuff. People would say, well, you got grease there, isn't that good, extra grease? Now what happens is it creates areas where salt water can pool and it can corrode. So the aim of the game is to oil them or grease them up enough, but not too much. Alright, these aren't getting held up at all now. That's pretty good. Now all I have to do is put on this covering plate. In the modern winches I've seen, I've never seen this plate on there, so you won't have to worry about this. I'll just tap it on gently.
A lot of work.
I'm just making it look like a lot of work.
Yeah.
Don't you worry. So just lightly grease everything. And it's a good thing to have either a picture from before so you remember where everything goes, or the other winch that I've got over there that I'm just using as reference. Alright, done. Now I could put the base plate on and get it all ready, but I'm going to use this for reference for the other winch, just in case I make a mistake. This looks really dry. I reckon if I left it too much for longer, I'd have lots of corrosion and problems. So it's a good thing we got it out. I should have done this before I left Tampa, but I just ran out of time. Alright, I'm just going to do the same thing. Checked all the pawls and springs in there and there. Remove all the old crud and grease and then grease it up. And then put the base plates on and then voila. Now I don't like this idea of mounting the winch on the teeth. I think there should be like a fiberglass mound for it to go on, but anyway, I've got what I've got. When I took it off, it was completely sealed around. God knows why he wants to do that. And it was wet inside. So what I've done is I've put two little grooves here just to let all the water escape. It's not pretty, it's just practical. We're going to seal all of the holes just locally. We don't need silicone all the way around, but we're going to use butyl tape. It's bloody good. It's the first time I've actually, well, Tim bought me a roll about 6 months ago, and I've used it on the davit systems, and they've been under davit bolts, and they've been underwater, and it hasn't leaked. So I think this is a winner. It's also so much easier to use than silicone. So you just put it about the base of the head, and put it round here. Right, so we've got the butyl tape all sealed. It's all squeezing out the base, only at the bolt holes though. Water does get in through here, so now it can just simply run down through here, goes through the base plate and out these two little grooves that I made that I showed you before. It's not pretty, it's just practical. Alright, make sure that when we tighten these, we keep this fixed and we tighten from below, so we just keep the seal there. Alright, job done. Well, almost done. job done. I don't have the locking key to fit into those 2 holes, but I just do it finger tight. And if I see it coming up, I'll just finger tighten it again. This is a barient 16. I've never done this one either. So, looks like we've got one of these spiral clips. Now, I've had experience with these before on long reef. They go pa-ting! So, I'm not playing that game again. There we go. Now I figure if you notice, I've got a bag here just in case there's any pole springs that are going. So it's all a big mystery. Alright, so far so good. But look at that. Look how dry this is. These poles aren't even moving. I don't think that's acceptable. And we've got a couple of poles in here. This one's not working, and this one's not working either. I'm not even sure how this winch was working. Alright, so let's just clean it up. Jeez, this is unbelievable. Alright, we'll clean that up, and hopefully these poles will move as God intended. Now this is the other rearward winch. This is for both the barient 16 and this is a lewmar 30. You can hear the pawl is working. There's a couple of pawls in here too. Should be noted that I don't really know what I'm doing. I mean, I've never pulled apart a lewmar before, but I have noticed that lewmar is better than the barborosas that oops, just dropped the bearing. Nothing but quality. Look at this. Look at this. So we can service this without removing the base. Good on you, lewmar. Top stuff. I'm glad someone's thinking. Normally you're supposed to use a light mineral oil here, like a Singer oil for the sewing machines. I'm going to use a slightly thicker oil because it's more exposed in this winch. It's not like the barbarossa winches where a lot of the pawls are hidden within the gear, the ratchet gear, so it's nice and protected. So, and because it is exposed, I probably have to check these once a month, which is no big deal because it's just a circuit, lift off, 2 drops of oil here, 2 drops of oil on the top, and then we're done. So I just have to put that in the program. Bloody beautiful. Done. And there's your bikinis, people. See, I wasn't lying.